Lots of painting, woodworking, and maybe a couple mistakes on this week's 6-8 Bravo. Some of you eagle eyes might notice that my background's different. This is not my new studio. I'm just borrowing Senpai Studios from Harris Heller while I'm working on my new studio, so still not in there yet. I had a productive week this week working on the new studio. Got the painting done. Started a lot of woodworking, working on the desks, getting everything set up in there to get ready to move in. So without further ado, let's go through what we accomplished this week. So of course we had to sand down our drywall mudding, get it all nice and smooth. And then we patched some holes in the wall to get ready for painting. And clean up whatever dust we could. And with the dust I kicked up last week, I had to take down those curtains and throw them in the wash. They were pretty dirty, so we got them washed. And to sponge down, I couldn't find a bucket, but my wife had a mixing bowl. I'm sure she won't mind. Just get that little layer of dust that the vacuum couldn't get off of there. Then we taped up the molding that was still on the windows, got the molding off the doors, and getting ready to put on some primer. So I started applying the primer to the new wall area that I'd put in. And then I noticed when I went over the already painted area, it was a little faded. You could see the blue through the white. So I decided, let's go ahead and prime the whole entire wall instead of just the area. That way we'll get a coat of white on there, and then when I paint over, it'll already have primer, and it'll take care of that blue and then the green on the other wall. The paint I went with something I had. I didn't buy any new paint. This is actually ceiling paint. It's a flat white paint that I'm putting on the walls. The wood I got for my desk, I got a piece of plywood that already had a stain on one side. I thought that would look pretty good. I wouldn't have to paint it or mess with it. I could just put it up. And then my desktop, I just got some glued pine. It's 1 inch thick, and both of them are 8 feet, so I don't have to do any cutting, and I can match them up. So the plywood I'm going to put on the wall, so I wanted to make sure I cut out some 2x4s to put on the studs, and then those would be the studs for the drywall. To make sure I got them all the same height and got them right, I just taped a yardstick on there and I taped a level. When I put the first one in, it didn't hit a stud. Of course. So my trusty old method was to use a small nail, and I find out where the studs are, get them marked, and I don't like stud finders. They don't work for me. So once I got the studs identified, then we got the 2x4s up, getting ready to mount everything. Then I marked for where I needed the desk height, and we put the L brackets on there. And I tested it out, brought my chair in, tested out the height, because it's about 1 inch taller than my current desk is, so I wanted to see how it was going to be. So my backing board, I just mounted right to the wall. That's where I'm going to mount my monitors and put my computers up there. So then we brought in the monitors, measured out where they needed to go. Originally I was going to try to mark them while I was holding them, but I decided that was probably not the best since they're pretty heavy. So I set them on the desk, got the proper markings. So then I got the wall mounts for the monitors mounted in the correct position so they're evenly spaced and ready for the monitors. After that, I put in the L brackets that's going to hold the shelves where the computers are going to go. And then I drilled out some holes for the wiring to go through. Now we'll get the desktop out of the plastic. We'll get it sanded down a little bit with 220. Get it ready for staining and poly. And I cut the shelves, sanded those down a little bit. And I decided before I started any staining, I wanted to go ahead and start my my light box projects. I cut out a notch in the bottom of each one and then put the bottoms on so that way I can put the cord through for the light. For the plastic, I tried to cut with scissors, but that wasn't working too good, so then I ended up cutting with a razor. And I had put grooves in the board using my table saw so the plastic could slide right in. Then I got my little light stands I got off of Amazon. I think it was like 20 bucks for a kit of 2. And then I have these old Phillips bulbs that I've been using that I can change colors in. And they work, but I think I've got a little more work to do on those things. I don't like how the color's not going all the way up, so we'll figure that out. Then I started my staining the shelves first, because I'm going to have to do both sides of those. And then staining the first coat on the desk. So we got a nice dark to light contrast with the desk and then the backdrop. I've only got 3 takeaways from the stuff I worked on this week. 1, painting sucks, but the end result is fulfilling. I do like the end result in there, even though it's white walls. You know, it works. Number 2, keep your tools organized. There was a couple instances this week where I couldn't find the right tool, and I know I got them somewhere. So the first one, my drill bits. I know I have an 1.5-inch drill bit that I was going to use to drill out the holes in the paneling so to run wires, but I could not find that thing. So I found an 1-inch drill bit. I figured, okay, I'll drill out with an 1-inch drill bit and then use the jigsaw to cut out a bigger square. Well, that worked for about 5 seconds, because when I put the jigsaw in to start cutting out the square, the blade was longer than the standoff that the 2x4s provided from the wall, so I actually cut into the wall that I just finished repairing. So that was one of my mistakes. I ended up just drilling out with the drill bit. I drilled out 4 1-inch holes and then opened them up. So that's what I had to do with that. But all that'll be hidden behind the computers and the monitors. The second, my desktop, I wanted to route like a little half circle on the front of the desktop where I'll be sitting. I have no idea where my router is. Garage is such a mess right now. I looked, I searched for it, couldn't find it. So I just ended up sanding the corners or the edges down as best as I could with the sander. So always keep your tools organized and know where they're at, because it would have been a lot easier had I had those two tools. And 3, my final takeaway, different color light travels different distances. When I switch the lights on to the purple, they go up a little bit, but if I switch it to a white or a bright white, they fill that light box pretty good. The light box project, still, work in progress. I've got some ideas for how to get that to look a little better than it does. I'm gonna paint the inside a gloss white. Hopefully that'll help the color carry up farther up the inside, and then I'm gonna block off the front area so you're not just blasted by the bulb, and maybe put some reflective material in there to hopefully kick the light up and into the box. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully I can work on that this week while I'm doing the other stuff and putting some finishing touches on that desk. Well, thanks for joining me again. Please, give me a like and a subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to. And we'll see you next week with the progress from this week. So have a good weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.